Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Oh, life is lifing with Mr. Z right now. I'm all over the place. I am running around, moving here, moving there, doing a bunch of random stuff, life related, work stuff. Just oh man. Anyway, so a bit of clarification. So there was a back and forth between Rael and Black Uru on the Roger Report's channel. Um, Shout out to the Roger Report. Had a topic about black men being the best men that America has to offer, which I'm in agreement with. And I came in and I kind of described what was going on and why I'm in agreement with it as a non-ADOS black person. And the brother Rael spoke after me and pretty much said, "Yeah, no, that's a bunch of blown smoke up Black American men's rear end, and that's pretty much pre-civil rights movement. Maybe that will apply, but pretty much everything after civil rights movement, right? So I'm gonna be careful with how I speak about this as a non-ADOS black person. There are a number of black people, both men and women, but particularly in this conversation, men who have this like disdain for black boomers in particular, right? And everything that happened post like pretty much in 1965. And where I'm in agreement with Black Uru and other elders that speak about this, the ignoring the environment or ignoring kind of the extenuating circumstances that get black people to where they are, I think is dangerous. I think you lend yourself to some of the pernicious undersided parts of white supremacy. And what I mean by that is like the parts that kind of want you to go back to doing your own thing, thinking that you're going to compete with them so that they can rip the carpet from under you. I mean, that's what happened to black elders, right? So, the idea that if you just move smart enough and if black people patronize you enough that you can, compete against the Waltons and Walmart, right? That type of idea. And I think yes and no. You need the right particular circumstance. And that's what I was speaking to when I was saying, look, like you have a dearth of entrepreneurship over the past 40 years. That's not by accident, right? That's white power, white elite power getting at everybody, not just black people, but everyone, like shutting ish down, right? So I might use some profanity here, shutting things down. And I think it's important to recognize the particular environment that we're in, where you have a lack of entrepreneurship for 40 years. We're speaking about post NAFTA. We're speaking about, globalization over the past 40 and 50 years. All of these things that play a factor, right? Like you're speaking about the consolidate. Why can I ever get this word out? Consolidation. There we go. And excuse my background. If I go through certain dead zones, I'm on a road I'm not usually on, so I might hit dead zones and not know that I'm on dead zones. So y'all just let me know if I have to repeat something. So yeah, the consolidation of certain media spaces. I mean, even when it comes to what was I gonna say? Alcohol, right? Like you have like 4, 5, 6 alcohol manufacturers in America, right? Or even on the planet, I think. But no, it's in America, right? Same thing with the Telecom Act. You just have these mega multinational or just even national corporations, right? And you'll watch something and they'll say like 90% or 95% of an industry is owned by like 5 companies, right? Like that's insane, right? The cable companies, et cetera, et cetera. So that does affect black business. So when we're speaking about black men being the best men that America has to offer, and we say no, then the question then is who? Oh yeah, now it gets interesting. If it's not black men, then who is it? White men? You sure you want to make that argument? Latino men? Asian men? Which one? South Asians, East Asians? And are you sure you want to make that argument? Right? And see how interesting it gets when we say, okay, black men aren't the best men that America has to offer. Then who is? Indigenous men, not too many of them walking around, right? Who is it? Jewish men in particular? You mean the ones that when they take their small hats off, you can't tell them from the wasp? Who? Right? And by the way, by which parameters are you judging that? Right? So I understand the angst. I understand the frustration and the anger. I get it, right? I get it. But I think we have to be careful what we say and how we say it and why we say it, right? I think there's so much frustration going on in the black community towards Negroes not moving the way other Negroes think they should move that we end up saying things that get real close to anti-blackness, if not fly right over the fence onto the other side, right? Into anti-black territory. And it's very interesting to watch how we justify that when we do enter that space, right? It's we got boomers blaming the younger folks, Xers and millennials, and now Gen Z. You have Gen Z and millennials blaming boomers and older Xers. You have light skin blaming dark skin. You have dark skin blaming light skin blaming dark skin blaming light skin. Definitely black women blaming black men, straight black men for everything wrong on the planet in the universe, right? So how is this supposed to work, right? How is this supposed to work? So is there and what I was attempting to clarify is there a conversation to be had about black people not patronizing black business? Yes. Is there a conversation to be had about black people and the way they respond to conflict and to white supremacy and to oppression, and maybe they're not incorrectly? We can have that conversation. Is there a conversation to be had about how effective is respectability politics? That's a conversation we can also have, right? But I would argue that all of these are internal conversations. When we're having a conversation about internal and external, particularly external factors and the greatness of black men, and someone comes in and defecates right in the middle of the room and say, yeah, you're not that great. And actually, parents very similar talking points to some of the scrollers and divestors. It's you're gonna get pushback, and yes, people are gonna be mad. One of the statements that was made is, "Y'all are just mad because y'all are trying to speak about how great black men are," and I'm saying, "No, they're not." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Of course. I mean, did you just hear what you said? Wait, y'all trying to speak about how great black men are, and I'm telling y'all, no, they're not. That's why y'all mad. Yeah. Wait a minute. Wait, what? Wait, what? Why can't y'all just let me tell y'all how trash y'all are and how y'all are lacking and how y'all should have went left instead of right? Wait, what? Right? So I understand it. What it is black people are so frustrated with other black people. Black people are so angry with other black people. And these are the same people off the top that talk about we need to not be a crab in the bucket and not be a crab in the barrel. But you can see the frustration, the anger, the rage at other black people for not moving the way these people think we should move. Exactly, right? And once again, I don't see how this works in the long run, right? The anger and the frustration directed towards other black people that's under the weight of the most, I would argue, oppressive system arguably the world has ever seen, right? It's economic, it's social, it's political, it's emotional, it's mental, it's on your ass, right? I get it. I get the frustration. But if this is the one, moment where we're speaking about black men, the greatest men that America has to offer, and we're speaking about black men in comparison to other men and what black men have been able to overcome, and you say, yeah, all of that applies right up until about 1960, 1965, and then everything after that is just BS. Of course, you're going to get some pushback. Think about what you're saying. All of you, excuse my language, all of you trash ass niggas post 1965, what y'all celebrating? That was your grandfathers and great grandfathers. Everything post 1965 is all trash. Because y'all ain't trying to start no businesses and compete against the Waltons or Cargill or Purdue or Kellogg or the CEO, not even the CEO, the Ford family, right? Y'all are straight trash. What are y'all celebrating? You haven't done anything. You are losers claiming the accolades of a bygone era. And by the way, I'm not going to speak about the Great Migration. I'm not going to speak about all the extenuating circumstance, the consolidation. God damn, Mr. Z, you can't get the word out. Consolidizing of businesses all across America. Farming was used as an example, right? All the black farms that existed up until I think I was the 1900s. The brother Rael was speaking about, and I'm like, bruh, you know how much dirt these people have been killing farms, period. Ain't no small farms like that anymore. And that's not just a black thing. All white farmers are screaming, either you work for one of these big, that's why I brought up Cargill and Purdue or one of these big, name them, the meat processors or whatever. Either you work for one of them or you don't work. Right? And what I'm saying is if you're not factoring in these things, then your frustration and your anger and your rage at other black people will just grow. It will grow unfettered because you're seeing these things without thinking about the racism that caused so many black people to move to the West Coast and to the Northeast and to the Northern Midwest in the first place. That was your customer base, right? Or the black business owners that got lynched, right? Or the black business owners, some of them moved to Florida also, South Florida, right? And this is before we start talking about the hostile takeover. Y'all forgot what Bob Johnson said? You can't be big and black in America. Now, I'm not about just laying down and showing them your belly, just laying down, lay down. When they say get down and lay down, and if you lay down, you're going to stay down. I'm not about that. That's not what Mr. Z is saying. But what I'm saying is not even acknowledging that this is the environment that we're speaking about. I think that causes you to sound very anti-black because all you have left is your anger and your frustration at other black people. And I would argue that you have to be very, very careful engaging in that. Because what ends up happening is, yeah, white supremacy, yeah, whatever. Right? Yeah, the hostile yeah, Jeff Bezos, yeah, whatever. Yeah, the Waltons, yeah, whatever. That's all excuses. Right? I mentioned that, there were some 2 million businesses started between 1992 and this is according to Dr. Jared Ball. Some 2 million businesses started between 1992 and 2012. Right? Mind you, this is in the middle of once again a dearth of businesses being started at all. A dearth of entrepreneurship in the first place. Y'all give me 1 second. I got to get this ticket real quick. Give me 1 second. Oh boy, window being dumb. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. All right, and there we go. Yeah. So this is the middle of that, right? So what I'm arguing is We just have to be careful with the language, and not even just the language, the way we see these, because the language is coming from a feeling, from a thought, right? And I think you just got to be careful with that, because you end up being so frustrated and angry at other black people, right? Sometimes for things that are out of their control. I know. You're trying to tell me that there's things that are out of black people's control? Yes, right? Mr. Z has been speaking about neoliberalism for how long now? Since y'all heard me speak. And now it's starting to be part of people's vocabulary. But that affected black businesses and black people competing against white people, because all what happened was the consolidation. I'm never gonna be able to get that word out, right? Of big businesses that end up eating all the mom and pop shops. That includes the black mom and pop shops. So, okay, I have different angles that I come at things from. Sometimes, and most times, it comes from a very black angle, right? And then sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you drop the myopia and you look at these things and be like, well, how did this affect Americans in general? And then how does it affect black people? So when you realize that businesses or entrepreneurship went down, or sorry, there's been a dearth of entrepreneurship over the past 40 years, then you understand why black business hasn't been booming over the past 40 years, right? Yes, the competition is that real on top. When you hear in 2008, oh, too big to fail, right? Then you understand, if the banks are too big to fail and the government's going to prop them up, you understand how we get here. So all the little small banks are allowed to just wither away and die. That includes some of your black banks. During the same time, um, black people were getting burned out of their farms, and they were getting hostile takeover for the few of them that didn't get burnt out or ran off of their land. They were getting hostile takeover. The same thing was happening to many poor white farmers also. Why does that matter in the grand scheme of the conversation? Which you thought was going to happen to the black farmers if this was happening to the white farmers, right? And when we start speaking about scaling up, once you start trying to be a big, and that's where Bob Johnson comes in with big and black. Once you start trying to scale up, shout out to Bill Cosby, you start trying to own something for real. That's why they tell you, yeah, these people are all billionaires. The 3,000 people, it's less than that. 3,000 billionaires on the planet, at least reportedly legally. But those 3,000 people that are billionaires, they're not billionaires equally. Those billions are different. It's one thing to be a billionaire off of entertainment, and it's another thing to be a billionaire off of providing people with goods and services. It's another thing to be a billionaire off of inventions, right? So when we speak about black entrepreneurship, first of all, what are you doing? What industry are you in? And is that industry in demand? You know, are you attempting to open a record shop in 2001 when Napster is around, and then wonder why no one's patronizing your business in the hood? Things like that matter. Now, somebody in 10, 15 years is going to tell us about their dad who tried to start selling records and selling CDs and selling DVDs in 2001 and 2, and black people, my dad tried to start a business selling CDs and DVDs in 2002 in the hood, and nobody was coming in. Nobody was patronizing him. You mean the time during LimeWire and FrostWire and Napster? You mean your dad was trying to start a business selling music then? Selling DVDs, when we could turn the corner at the and go to the flea market and the guy's selling DVDs, CDs, 5 for the 10, right? 5 for the 10, 10 for the 20. You mean your dad was trying to sell DVDs and CDs, music and movies, when I could turn three corners at the gas station? And yeah, this was recorded off of somebody's camera in a movie theater. Yes, but once again, CDs, DVDs, 5 for the 10, 10 for the 20. These are extenuating circumstances that when we hear about black people not patronizing other black people, which I don't even know how true that is in the grand scheme of things, and black people not looking out for other black people, right? These are the things that are like never said. They're never said. You know how many rooms Mr. Z has been in? How many events Mr. Z has been in? How many house parties and get-together Mr. Z has been in? And once black people start talking this talk, eventually somebody's uncle or somebody's aunt or somebody's cousin who think they deep start talking about, oh, you know, black people hate black people. Eventually it's gonna come out. You know, black people are black people's worst enemy. You know, black people are the crab in the barrel. Right? And once again, I get it. The anger and the frustration, it's just, but y'all almost made it sound like black people are irredeemable. I don't even think black people are doing anything that wrong for us to even be talking about whether they're redeemable or not, let alone y'all speaking like they're irredeemable. Just seething, angry. That's why y'all clap it up for any brother or sister that come around spitting that fucking respectability talk, not saying nothing. Right? And yes, I concede all the time. Yes, there are black people that are not responding well. They're making all of black people's situation worse. They're making their situation worse, right? Inappropriate response to white supremacy, right, and anti-blackness. Yes, of course. Of course. But if this is one episode or one show where we're speaking about something different and speaking about the greatness of black men, I mean, we got to take the opportunity to remind niggas, oh, by the way, you ain't ish. I just want you to know. You ain't like your grandpappy and your great-grandpappy. See, your great-grandpappy came out here and did war with the white dudes on the business. You mean when there was segregation? Yeah, I want us to go back to segregation. Oh. Wait a minute. You saw what just happened during COVID when we can't get one or two things because of the disruption of supply lines. One or two things. And you think we just gonna establish supply lines against the white folks and the Asian folks out of nowhere? Once again, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm saying the way we going about it, you just think it's just a boof. Y'all forgot what Kanye was trying to tell Sway? He was sounding real crazy, but there is no just boom, just started. You could just sell t-shirts for the 10. And when Sway said that, I was like, oh, okay, I see where Sway is going, but Kanye's, and this little part right here, Kanye is right. Kanye is trying to tell you they got the game on lock. He couldn't say, I don't know why Kanye should just said those words. You don't get it. They got the game on lock. If I want to scale and not just sell t-shirts from my trunk or from some little boutique in Hollywood, if I'm trying to scale, the game is on lock. That's what Kanye was trying to tell Sway. That's why he was saying, you don't got the answer, Sway. So yeah, the Waltons won't target your mom and pop shop in the middle of Oklahoma somewhere. Maybe. And even if they did, you couldn't prove it. Maybe they won't target your mom and pop shop in the middle of Nowheresville, Alabama, or Kentucky. But if you try to scale, and then we compare ourselves to these other communities, first of all, that are not black. Once again, not black. One more time, not black. And then even if they are black, not ADOS. That's why they tell you immigrants are the ones that start the businesses. By the time their grandchildren come around out the door. $40-year low in entrepreneurship in America. And like the brother Chuku was saying, Indian immigrants and Asian immigrants. Look at that. People that already come in here with connections and money, and they're in the tech world. They already got cousins and family members that could give them a little $5,000 here, $1,000 here type thing. And all these businesses that we speak about, y'all know they don't scale, right? Which oftentimes we're talking about like sole proprietorships or like something that's in your family and it's only down for 2 generations. It's only going to be open for 2 generations, 3 max. All this that we talk about entrepreneurship, and you look at median incomes across the country, and the Indians lead the way at $120,000. I think that's per median household income, if I'm not mistaken. Household is at 120. I don't think that was individual, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was household. And yet we beat up on other black people when the richest amongst us as Americans are 120 median. And that's Indians, which white folks are not targeting in America, which white folks did not designate as the permanent underclass. Right? These are just things to factor in. And we could, it was said on the panel, look at the Mexicans with their, their side business on the street. I forgot what the brother said, but like something along those lines, right? Like that little stand on the street. I'm like, yeah, but he can't scale. We use that as an example. That sound nice, but he can't scale. And is that dude that has a stand, on the side of the street? Is he breaking $70,000 a year? $80,000 a year? 100? Right? Like did rest in the worst place in the world, Milton Friedman, because this Freeman-esque Iron Randian like way of viewing the world, oh my God. What they call Randian, like, just wow. Right? And that language has seeped even into our dating spaces and area. We got maximize this, optimize that, business this. Right? I just want us to be careful. I'm not here to like defecate on everything that Rael was saying. Once again, like I said, he is correct about a lot of internal issues. What I'm saying, even if I Thanos snap everything and have what he said, we could go back to some kind of type of pseudo Jim Crow era just so that Rock could have his business and everybody could be patronizing his business and we could still be having the we could pretend like the thumb of white supremacy ain't on our neck, right? What I'm saying is even if we had that issue, you would run into the wall of the mega national transnational corporations and banks and them stepping on you, and then you could see what that looked like in 50 years. That was my argument. It's not it's not to defecate on the idea that we are inappropriately responding to white supremacy often, right? But it is to say, like, bro, when you look at like the fact that how many car companies are there in America, right? I'm talking about American car companies. When you look at once again the poultry producers, cable companies, alcohol companies, like all of it, it's always like, you know, near monopolies. It's always 5, 6, 7, right? Walmart took the heads of Kmart, Sears, um, Target holding on because they sell their clothes in a more posh way, right? All of these companies got their head taken off by the Waltons. All of it. Amazon accounts for 51+% of all online transactions in America. 51+%. Just Amazon. Right? Like, that's what we're talking about. Same thing, and I'm using these as example to explain what I was attempting to say about the farms and the farmers. Right? And you know, it's not just, and this is going to what Spainman says, and Spainman said the Spainman said he led with the point that blacks don't have the same mindset that back in the day, but also wind up agreeing that there were a myriad of things that took place. I would argue, Spainman, it's not even just that took place that's taking place now. What did they tell you in '08? These banks are too big to fail. That's not just banks. That's these mega corporations around America. Remember the car companies got bailed out too, right? That term right there, uh, that term will stay with Mr. Z forever. Too big to fail. All this talk about capitalism, all of this talk about capitalism and competition and free market, all that talk, right? And that's the bit that I even disagree. I heard Raj's intro. That no, Raj, that free market ain't real. Black Uru's not lying when y'all want a free market. Y'all ready to kill and die? No, literally. I'm not talking about kill and corporate. No, no, no. Kill and die, literally. If America turned into a real free market, Mad Max, right? That's why they regulate the market here and there and try to, you know. But look, everybody knows I'm a lefty, so you already know what angle I'm gonna come at. But I'm definitely willing to concede certain points, and I'm never gonna say that we don't need black business. I'm never gonna say that because I don't believe that. I do believe that we need black business, and I do believe that we need big black business. But be very clear The game is about exploiting those on the below you. And unless y'all gonna tell me that the black businesses are gonna be the only ones that are not trying to build factories in China or Mexico for pennies on the dollar, and have and contract out to textile mills in India that burn to the ground with 200 people in them, you have to understand that black people are going to get dirty too. And your black elite will essentially be like the white elite, but black. Is that the argument we're making? I've said it before. Damn you Negroes for not letting me extort you the way the white folks extort you. Why can't I pay you $12 an hour, $5 an hour, $10 an hour, $7.50 an hour, like the white folks do? You'll work for the white man for $7.50, but you demand $15 from me. Why? Is that the argument we're making? I think black people are between a rock and a hard place. And quite frankly, I don't really know the answer. I'm not, Mr. Z ain't gonna lie to y'all. I could describe certain things. I could describe what I see, what I feel, what I think. And I do think it probably is a mix of both. I'm never gonna tell y'all we don't start a business. I'm never gonna tell you don't invest. I'm never gonna tell you don't save. Because that would be a lie. That's why I entered the conversation speaking about not calling myself a king, not calling other black men kings, not calling my girl a queen. And if my girl called me a king, I would cringe. Because I know what it cost. And the lie is that you're going to only step on other people if you're trying to get into that. No, you're going to step on your own people too. To get up to what we're talking about, billionaire status. Oh, you're not just stepping on non-black people. Oh no, you stepping on a whole bro. Killmonger told y'all this in Black Panther. All those scars were people that he killed. And he said, I had to kill my own in Africa to get here. You forgot? All those Chinese billionaires, you think they weren't stepping on other Chinese to get to where they are? How many Chinese people you see dying in factories, all type of the Indian billionaires? What you thought? Elon Musk is a billionaire. Half of it because him and his people didn't have to compete against the black South Africans. For those of you that don't know that Elon Musk is South African, but I'm just saying. Right? So, on that note, let me pause right here. Mr. Z got to go be a son. And I just wanted to do a bit of clarification. I had to drop earlier, and that's why you saw I didn't engage in the barking and back and forth. Because I don't have any animosity towards Ra in general, or even his worldview completely. Because I understand what I understand what fuels that worldview. I get it, right? I get it, right? But I just disagree. I get it and I disagree. And I think we have to be very careful how we interact with other black people coming from the angle of being frustrated and angry at other black people. Right? I get it. But when there's a time where black people are celebrating black people, particularly black men are celebrating other black men and speaking about the greatness of other black men and the obstacle other black men have been able to overcome, and then we put a hard date on it and say, yeah, but y'all Negroes ain't like our grandpappy and our great grandpappy pre-civil rights movement. Those were the real fighters. Everything after that, meh. Right? And I mean, the statement was staring around the face on that one. I actually meant to say that, right? Like y'all mad, and like that's why I was trying to get him before Raj, but you know it's Raj's channel. He's like, y'all just mad because y'all talking about trying to speak about how great black men are, and I'm saying no, and I'm like, yeah, of course we're mad. Who? Wait, do you what? Wait, why won't you let me defecate on your parade? Right? So and y'all, y'all claiming accomplishments. Y'all not even, and you. I will say this, and let me end on this. There is a certain level of resentment towards the business class of black people coming from some black people. Raj and Ra are correct on that. There is a certain level of resentment. And I would argue that some of that resentment comes from this particular type of rhetoric. Y'all ain't real. Y'all ain't trying to go to war with the white dudes in the business realm. Whatever y'all got going on over there, yeah, that's cute. Y'all ain't over here doing war with the white dudes over here in the business realm. Whatever little thing you got going, your little 9 to 5. That's the easy stuff, right? You ain't trying to be no mega national, mega ultra mega evil corporation over here. And I I know for some black people that don't think that's the way they sound. That's the way y'all sound. But that's not what I'm saying. That's the way y'all sound. Can't tell you what it looked like. I can tell you what it looked like. I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you what it looked like. Shout out to Jeff Brown. That's the way y'all sound. And so yeah, there's black people that resent that type of aura and attitude. You need some of that to do the battle y'all doing every day if y'all compete against the white dudes and the white women every day. I get it. But then when you turn that internally towards other black people, and the second black people start speaking, it's such a little 9 to 5 ass up. Right? If you was a real man, you'll be out here trying to get it how you live with a business. Get it out the mud. And like like Yvette Carnell said, ain't no water. Get out the mud, ain't no mud because ain't no water. Get out the mud, ain't no water, and ain't no fertilizer. Right? You mean get it out the dirt? Right? It's a desert out here. You talking about get it out the mud. Right? I think you look, certain environments foster certain things. That's why look at what Mr. Z said. I didn't even tie the two together until just now. Neoliberalism is 40 some odd years old, and you have a dearth of entrepreneurship in America over the past 40 years. Come on, man. The thing writes itself. I'm not even gonna say the joke. It's not a joke. This thing writes itself. Milton Friedman and the Chicago boys get a hold of Jimmy Carter. They barely start creeping in with Jimmy Carter, and then they really get in the door with Reagan, and their ideology is allowed to spread out all through the West, all through developing countries. But particularly in America, you have a dearth of entrepreneurship over the past 40 years, pretty much as these dudes walk into the door of the White House and of Wall Street. And they flip Keynesianism on its head, and they say, no, we're going back to what Hayek said. Right? So black people get caught up in that also. So once again, it's not just black people not starting businesses, it's Americans not starting businesses, because look at the environment. And yes, you could compare that to the era of Jim Crow. It's a different environment. There's a reason. Antitrust laws. There's a reason why Theodore Roosevelt had to break these banks up, break up Standard Oil, because of the lack of competition. They were so big you couldn't compete. They would eat you up alive or have you murked or send the Pinkertons after you. Yikes. And what we're saying is we're not going to allow for that now. So we're not breaking up these near monopolies, but yet black people compete even though nobody else outside of immigrants are. And even those immigrants run right into the wall when they try to scale. So yes, we can make the comparison of a brother in wherever Nowheresville or even a major city in the South in 1915 compared to a brother coming out of Atlanta or coming out of, you know, Miami or LA or somewhere in New York, Harlem in 2015, 2016, 2020. You can make that comparison because it's a different environment. Mr. Z, are you trying to say you can't? No, I'm saying you can. You could try. That's what I'm saying. You could try to make that a comparison. Fine. Black. Let's take black people. Why aren't white folks starting businesses over the past 40 years? All this talk we talk about Latinos. Why aren't Latinos starting businesses over the past 40 years? Why is it not all the Asians? It's Asian immigrants that are starting the businesses. We allow too many of these companies to consolidate and to consolidate and to consolidate, and now you have 4 or 5 companies in one industry. Right? So I'm gonna pause right here for real. I should have been inside. All right, y'all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. Once again, this is not to diss anybody. This is not to insult anybody. If you could see, that's why my tone was pretty even keel. I'm just trying to clarify my points, what I was attempting to say, without interruption. And yeah. So once again, this is not to insult anyone, to belittle anyone, to mock anyone or anyone's worldview. I just disagree with some of the angles that we're coming at each other from. Right? And I don't think this is a no, if y'all did it like this, then everything will be okay. No, you need to go lobby the government to get these companies out of the way and break these companies up. If you hope to scale past a mom and pop shop or 1 or 2 stores in one city, 1 or 2 restaurants in one city, if you hope to scale or be any competition in any way to create great black wealth outside of lobbying the government to break these people up, I don't see it. That's my point. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not here to insult anyone once again or any of that. So let's close out once again. Like, share, subscribe, hit the thank you button for the replay squad. We'll end it out here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll pause right here. Go check out other Black Manosphere content. Go check out other non-Manosphere content. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out.